UFC Fight Night, Vettori versus Dolidze. Quick picks, quick predictions before we go ahead and get into it, boys. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and let's start it off with the first fight of the night of Junesi Dubin versus Carly Judas, man. This starts off the card. It's not a horrible women's fight, honestly. Carly Judas is coming off of back-to-back losses to decent competition. Gabriela Fernandez and I believe Karakate? I don't know how to say her last name, but Junesi Dubin, undefeated in her mixed martial arts career, has a 100% finish rate. 100% finish rate as a woman, and she's honestly, she just throws hands. She really, she just throws hands. If you haven't seen her Dana White Contender Series fight, go check that out. She absolutely smoked her opponent. I mean, I've never seen Dana White hop off of his seat for a woman's knockout, man. And that was it. He jumped up. I mean, it was a crazy knockout, flatlined the other girl as a huge underdog as well. But I'm going to be completely honest. When you break down this fight, the technique, the style, you have to put that towards Carly Judas. Her technique's way better. Her striking's way better. You know, she can take you to the ground. But Junesi Dubin has power, and she just throws hands. She just throws hands. You know, she actually is knocking out chicks left and right. So I think this one's going to be close. You know, Carly Judas is coming off of a couple of losses, but they were close and they were against good competition. Whereas Junesi Dubin hasn't really fought great competition, but has smoked them all and has some knockout power, genuinely, at women's flyweight. She's got some knockout power. So I think it's going to be close. You know, if Dubin can get her hands going and keep this one on the feet, she's got a solid chance. But Judas is definitely going to be looking to take her down, try to stay at range. She's going to be the bigger woman. She's going to try to just pick shots from the outside. But honestly, I'm leaning Dubin. I'm starting it off with an underdog pick, man. I think there's a chance she can do some damage with her hands. She's just a little fireball. She just comes at you and wings overhand rights. Her technique is not there. But honestly, from what we've seen from Carly Judas, she doesn't have a neutralizing force to really shut down somebody like Dubin. I think Dubin will crack her, drop her at some point, land the better shot. She just seems like she wants it more. She wants it more. She's coming out here as a huge underdog again. I think she's going to cash out some people, boys. I think she's going to cash out some people. So I'm going to start it off the night. I don't think she's going to get a knockout, but I think she will win a decision. I'm going to go Junesi Dubin by decision, by unanimous decision to start off the night, boys. We move on to the next fight, Josiane Nunes versus Priscilla. What's her last name? Cachoeira? Cachoeira? Yeah, this is another one where these two women both have power, honestly. I mean, I don't think it's going to end in the finish, but Josiane Nunes is a little bowling ball. She's a little ball of fire, man. She just throws overhand right. Same thing as Junesi. And Priscilla, a lot of her wins come by finish. A lot of her wins come by knockout. You know, she throws hands as well. She's got power. And she's going to have a huge height advantage on Josiane Nunes, who is a very small bantamweight, very short bantamweight, I should say. She's coming off that loss to, what's her name? Oh my goodness, she's ranked now. Jeez, I can't with names, man. I can't with names, especially the women fighter names. I can't remember the names. Cavalcanti. Oh, jeez. Jacqueline Cavalcanti. She's coming off that loss to Cavalcanti. Priscilla, I believe, is coming off of a loss as well. Nunes, did go to a split decision. It was very close. Nunes knows how to throw hands. So I am going to be going Nunes in this pick. I mean, Priscilla, she's aging. She's got some questionable losses. I mean, she's lost a lot depending on if she's taken down, if she's submitted. Josiane Nunes doesn't really have that threat, so this will be on the feet, but I think Nunes has more power, and she will be pressing forward, pushing Priscilla up against the fence and throwing overhand rights. Overhand right, overhand left, just winging bombs at her for the whole fight, and I think her cardio is going to be better. So I'm going to go Josiane Nunes by unanimous decision. Moving on, we got Daniel Barras versus Andre Lima. Not a bad fight. Honestly, not a bad fight. Daniel Barras is coming off that win over Victor Altamirano. Andre Lima is coming off that win over Dos Santos. Both pretty decent wins from these guys. Andre Lima is still undefeated. I made a video not too long ago talking about prospects I believe will lose their zero or be shut down this year, and I think Andre Lima will be one of them, but I don't think it will be in this fight. Daniel Barras, we've seen, has struggled on the ground. Andre Lima is a guy who will push you up against the cage, take you down if he needs to. If he doesn't get success on the striking department, he'll just go for the takedowns. He'll crush you up against the cage, right? He'll hold you. It's not the most entertaining style, but it gets it done. It gets the job done, right? So I'm going to go Andre Lima by decision. Unless Daniel Barres can knock out Andre Lima, land a nice shot, I don't think he's going to be winning this fight. Daniel Barres does have power, though. He dropped Victor Altamirano a couple times in their fight, got that decision. I think he could maybe land something on Andre Lima, but Lima's a very smart fighter. He knows what he has to do to get the win, and I think he'll just find that way and adjust mid-fight to get the win. That's what he does very well. So I'm going to go Andre Lima by decision. We move on. Stephanie Luciano versus Sam Hughes. Sam Hughes is like a barrier fighter to see if you're even deserving of being in the UFC. She's like a guy that, or not a guy, a girl that you need to show if you can beat Sam Hughes. Okay, you're decently UFC ready, you know. So Stephanie Luciano, very fresh in the UFC, coming off of one win. Sam Hughes is coming off of a win as well, I believe. And Sam Hughes is, she's a decent overall, well-rounded fighter, but she doesn't really have any danger in specific that Stephanie Luciano is going to have to handle. So I think Luciano is going to be the bigger girl. I think she's going to be able to pick the shots properly from the outside, and she's going to be able to get the decision. I don't see Sam Hughes, implicating too much damage or troubling Luciano in too many moments. Luciano's decent on the feet, and her ground game's not bad as well. I think Luciano is a decent women's strawweight, and so is Sam Hughes. This is a very meh fight. I would have put this as the opener of the night, to be honest. It's not very exciting. It's not going to get too much hype, to say the least, but it'll be interesting. I think Sam Hughes could be bigger, like body-wise like this, but Luciano has a bit of a height advantage, her reach advantage as well. I think she'll be able to put those to use and get a unanimous decision win. So I'm going to go Stephanie Luciano by unanimous or split. I could see this being a close decision and being a split that goes to Luciano, who is a potential rising prospect, 6-1, So I'm going to go Stephanie Luciano by split decision. We move on. Carlos Vera versus Josias Musasa. All right. Carlos Vera is coming off that loss to, who did he lose to recently? He didn't get finished. I think he lost the decision recently. And Josias Musasa is coming off of that decision win on Dana White Contender Series. His first win that wasn't a knockout. His nickname is the Knockout Wizard. But Carlos Vera has never been knocked out in his career. Josias Musasa is a huge favorite. I understand why. He throws bombs. He throws hands. He's got power, especially at bantamweight. He is dangerous, but he struggles in the grappling department, in the wrestling department. He's not the best wrestler. And Carlos Vera is a guy who has great BJJ. Good. He takes you down with relative ease, right? And he's got a good submission game. I think Carlos Vera is going to be able to throw some issues at Josias Musasa, who hasn't really had to worry about too many takedowns because he's finished fights early on or has just been able to implicate his pure force and the fact that he's decently big at bantamweight. He's very, very built at bantamweight. So I think this is going to be close. Carlos Vera, we don't know what his chin looks like. He's been clipped a couple times, but he hasn't been finished by knockout at least. But I am going to still lean Josias Musasa. I think he could find a nice shot on Carlos Vera, whose defense is it's too iffy. I don't like Carlos Vera's defense. He doesn't hold a very tight guard. I think Josias could find a nice shot and drop him. I don't know if he will finish him. I am going to go Josias Musasa by decision. But, if he is able to find that shot on Carlos Vera, he could potentially finish him. Carlos Vera's only chance to kind of win this fight is by taking him down and really holding him down for the entirety of the fight and looking for a submission, which I don't think he'll be able to do. Josias is able to scramble out of those positions, and he's able to position himself in a good place to land his overhand right, his straight shots down the middle, which he loves. So I'm going to go Josias Musasa by unanimous decision. We move on. Sung Young Yu versus AJ Cunningham. AJ Cunningham, he struggled a bit in the UFC. He's coming off back-to-back knockout losses, but he just lost to Ludwig Klein, who is a very, very high rising prospect at lightweight, all right? And, now AJ's fighting at bantamweight. I don't know if they were fighting at a catchweight or if they were fighting at 145. Not sure how he fought Klein. Don't know what weight class it was at, but AJ Cunningham got beat up. He lasted a decent while, but his body just couldn't take too many of those body shots, too many kicks. Klein's kicks are beautiful, so he crumbled eventually. And Sung Young Yu is coming off that decision win. He's come off a few decision wins. He was on road to UFC, just coming off that decision win in Macau. Very nice win. He's well-rounded. He's very well-rounded, and he's got a guy in front of him, AJ Cunningham, who is also well-rounded, but has struggled with cardio, who has struggled with, taking and wearing damage. He doesn't wear damage very well. Yu doesn't have the craziest power, but I do believe he will be able to inflict that damage, inflict his well-timed shots, and be able to rip to AJ Cunningham's body, who's taller. He's lengthier. He's kind of skinny. So I think Sung Young Yu will be able to damage AJ Cunningham at some point. I don't think he's going to knock him out, but I think he will damage him pretty badly. I'm going to go Sung Young Yu by decision. A lot of decisions, man. I think there's going to be a decent amount of decisions on this card until we get to the main card at least. So I'm going to go Sung Young Yu by decision. Very close decision, though. I do think AJ Cunningham is decent. He did make it fairly competitive with Ludovic Klein, but we'll see what happens, man. We will see what happens. I'm going to go Sung Young Yu by decision, though. We move on. Waldo Cortez Acosta versus Ryan Spann. Here's where it gets a little bit spicy. Here's where it gets a little bit exciting. Heavyweight fight. All right. Waldo Cortez Acosta is ranked at featherweight. All right, ranked at featherweight. What am I saying? Ranked at heavyweight. Close enough. Ranked at heavyweight. And we got Ryan Spann, who is moving up from light heavyweight to heavyweight. He's making his transition. I think this is great for Ryan Spann. Who has struggled with his chin a little bit at light heavyweight from time to time, but he's dynamic. And I think move up to heavyweight, he'll have a bit of a better chin, to be honest. I know the guys at heavyweight throw harder punches, but Waldo Cortez Acosta is a perfect guy to welcome Ryan Spann into the heavyweight division. He doesn't have crazy power. His only knockout in the UFC is against Lucas Brzeski, who we can't even talk about Lucas Brzeski. Brzeski has been chinned a multitude of times. We're not even going to rate Lucas Brzeski as a win. All right, he just doesn't matter. So Waldo Cortez Acosta does not have a lot of power. He's also not a very dynamic striker. He is decent. His jabs are good. He's able to pick his shots properly, but he's not going to injure Ryan Spann too much throughout this fight, I don't think. Ryan Spann, of course, he's been knocked out a few times. Got knocked out by Johnny Walker early in his career. Got knocked out by Bogdan Guskov not that long ago, but Guskov's got power. And he's coming off that submission win over, what's his name? Holy moly. The guy who just got, he retired, didn't he? The 40-year-old. Anyways, it's not the best win. His recent win, but it was a nice submission, all right? Ryan Spann is always live with those guillotine chokes, and I think he's live in this fight, boys. Live prop, Ryan Spann by guillotine choke is a live prop, boys. Very live prop, but I don't think he's going to pull off that guillotine in this fight. But I am going to be going with Ryan Spann. I think he's going to get his hands going. I think he will be able to threaten a submission game if it goes to the ground. I think he's more well-versed than Waldo Cortez Acosta. I know he's a good heavyweight. He's a decent heavyweight. He just doesn't impose a certain amount of damage and pressure that you want to see from a heavyweight and a certain amount of knockout power that you want to see as a heavyweight. You know what I mean? If he knocks out Ryan Spann, I would be decently surprised. Ryan Spann's chin isn't the best, but Costa does not have an insane amount of power. Hasn't knocked out that many people. I think I'm going to go Ryan Spann by knockout or by submission. I think he gets it done. I think he finishes Waldo Cortez Acosta, who is just, he's just so as a heavyweight, man. He's just what you would look at, the blob that you would look at the bottom of the top 15 at heavyweight. It's just, this is why we don't hype up heavyweight. You know what I mean? But we move on to the main card. Starting off the main card, Sung Woo Choi versus Kevin Vallejos. Kevin is the only dude to go the distance with Jean Silva. Okay, only guy to go the distance with Jean Silva, who is a very, very rising prospect. Big rising prospect from the Fighting Nerds. We know this, man. Jean Silva is dangerous. He's dangerous. He knocks everybody out. And Kevin put a competitive fight on him. Jean did clearly get the decision, but Kevin, he's good. He's very well versed on the feet, can take it to the ground, and he throws hands. He does throw hands, but he's fighting Sung Woo Choi, who's, obviously he's had up and downs in his career, has been knocked out quite a few times. Recently got knocked out against, what's his name? Holy moly. Shoot. I'm just so bad with names recently. The Mean Machine. I can't remember his name right now. The Mean Machine, though, he got knocked out decently bad by him. His chin is kind of cooked, but I don't see Kevin Vallejos knocking him out here. He's coming off that knockout win over Dana White Contender Series, but he fought kind of a bum. His only loss is to Jean Silva, but Sung Woo Choi has a big height advantage, a decent recent reach advantage. He's very big for featherweight. If you see Sung Woo Choi, he's a very big featherweight, and I think he's going to cause problems for Kevin Vallejos on the ground. Kevin Vallejos is a huge favorite. I would not be parlaying this guy. I would not be placing him in any parlays. You could straight bet him if you want, but I I think Kevin Vallejos is very good. He should win. He should knock out Sung Woo Choi, but I'm gonna go with Sung Woo Choi. All right, this is a bit of a don't trust my pick here, but I'm going Choi. I think Choi is going to be able to take him down and look for submissions and threaten submission game that Kevin Vallejos is not used to. He's not very used to that. He's primarily a boxer. His boxing is very crisp. Don't get me wrong, but he's at a very size disadvantage here against Sung Woo Choi, and I think Choi will be able to get a takedown, go for a submission, hold him down, and get a big upset, man. So I'm gonna go Sung Woo Choi by decision or by submission. We move on to the next fight. Dr. Nurgazze versus Brendan Ribeiro, man. DR on the Dana White Contender Series got a huge knockout with a head kick. Very nice knockout. Very unexpected knockout by DR. But he struggled in that fight. He's kind of struggled to get his hands going. He's got power, but he's not the most dynamic striker. But he does have a lot of power. Brendan Ribeiro is coming off that win over Caio Machado. Very close split decision. Did he deserve the win? Yes, but he very closely squeezed it out. It was really close. And before that, he was on 2-loss streak I think he got knocked out and then he got decision. So Ribeiro's been a bit up and down. He needed that win in his last fight. And in this fight, he's got a difficult task against Dr. Nurgazze, who's got a lot of power. I think Dr. is going to be able to implicate that power and land some shots on Brendan and really injure him. So I think Dr. is going to get him out of there in round 1 or round 2. But if not, I think Ribeiro will just grow throughout the rounds and get the decision. But I'm going to go Dr. Nurgazze by round 1 or round 2 TKO. I think his power is just going to be too much for Brendan, man. But we move on. Is this the feature fight? No, this is not the feature fight. Damon Blackshear versus Cody Gibson. Not a bad fight. Not a bad bantamweight matchup. But, man, Cody Gibson, I just can't rate Cody Gibson at all. All right, his last 2 wins are against Chad Anneliger and who was the other one? Brian Kelleher. Okay, he took some time off, came back, lost twice in a row. The UFC kept him around. Then he gets a win over Brian Kelleher, who nobody can rate Brian Kelleher. Okay, I'm sorry to Brian Kelleher if you're watching this. You're probably not watching this, but I'm sorry, but Brian Kelleher is not a fight or a win you can rate, and neither is Chad. Man, he's aging bantamweight. It's just not really good wins. And Damon Blackshear, even though he's lost to some guys recently, he got knocked out not too long ago. He beats those bums. He beats all those bums. Recently he's coming off that submission win over Cody Stamann. Nice submission win. Very nice submission win in the Apex. He beats guys like that. He retires guys like that. And I think he's going to do the same thing to Cody Gibson. So I'm going to go Damon Blackshear by round 1 or round 2. TKO or submission. I think he gets it done relatively easy. Damon Blackshear, very physical guy, very well versed on the ground. His submission game is amazing. One of 3 guys to pull off a twister in the UFC. I mean, his BJJ is great. I think he's going to take down Gibson, look for the choke, and get it with relative ease. So I'm going to go Damon Blackshear by submission or by TKO. We move on. Alexander Hernandez versus Kurt Holobaugh. This is the feature fight for some odd reason. This is kind of an Unk versus Unk battle. They're not too high up in the Unk status, but decently close Unk battle. Hernandez is coming off of that win, very close win against Austin Hubbard. That could have gone either way. Very, very close. It was a good fight, though. It was a good fight throwing hands back and forth, but he's fighting Kurt Holobaugh. Kurt Holobaugh is coming off that win over Kenan Krachewski. I believe it was an upset win. Krachewski's not the best guy, but Holobaugh showed some different levels, was able to mix it up on the feet and on the ground, and I think he's going to be able to do the same thing here against Alexander Hernandez, who does kind of struggle on the ground. His striking's not bad, but Kurt Holobaugh is also very good and is able to impose his range. His distance management is very good. Kurt Holobaugh's kind of a mid-level guy, but he does show some flashes of, decency in the UFC, and I think Alexander Hernandez is past that point of, this guy was kind of a rising prospect at one point. He's kind of an exciting prospect at one point. He's kind of been shut down from that. He's nearing the end of his career, so is Kurt Holobaugh. So I'm going to go Kurt Holobaugh by unanimous decision. I think it's going to be close, though. It could be a split, but I think I'm going to lean Kurt Holobaugh. I think he's just going to get things going on the ground and on the feet a bit. He's going to be a bit busier than Alexander Hernandez. So I'm going to move on, though, to the co-main event. Chidi Njokuani versus Elezu. I can never say his name. Elezu Zaleski dos Santos. There we go. Chidi is coming off that win, that unanimous decision over Jared Gooden. Very good win. It was back and forth fight, but he got the decision, and Elezu Zaleski is coming off that win over Zach Strogan, I believe, who was just coming in on short notice. He absolutely smoked him. Beautiful knockout. It was expected. I mean, Capoeira is still high level, and I think he's going to be high level in this fight. Chitty's not a bad fighter, but that huge knockout streak he had a while back when he's starting his UFC career, that kind of all dissipated after he started losing a bit, and now he's kind of lost that pressure and that those knockout shots that he used to throw. He pulled back from that a bit. He's a bit scared to throw those shots, and Alezu Zaleski is still very well versed, still throws power shots. He's very well rounded, nice kicks, is able to throw shots straight down the middle, and he's able to connect. I think he's going to be connecting on Chitty all night. It's going to be close, but I'm going to lean Dos Santos to get this one done by KO or by decision. Can't really choose. I think it's going to be close. Chitty's chin it's questionable, but he did hold up against Jared Gooden, and he has been holding up recently. He hasn't looked bad. He hasn't looked too bad recently. So I'm going to go Zaleski Dos Santos by decision. I think it'll be back and forth, but I trust in Dos Santos to land the better shots and really injure Chitty, who hasn't really shown too much recently, has had close decisions back and forth, and his knockout power just doesn't look the same as it used to. We move on to the main event, though. Marvin Vettori versus Roman Dolidze 2. Not a bad main event. Not a bad Apex main event. At least this is not, a fight night in front of a crowd or anything like that. I think it's going to be an okay fight. I was shitting on this fight not that long ago, and obviously nobody's hyped about this fight, but I'm not mad at it. I'm not completely mad at it. It's not a rematch we need, but it's a rematch that it is what it is. You know what I mean? It's an Apex main event. It is what it is. Marvin Vettori is coming off that loss to Cannonier in the 5-rounder main event. He got beat down pretty bad. Cannonier just landed the better shots, really rocked Marvin Vettori, but Vettori's chin is made of straight steel. It's made of straight steel. There is no better chin in the UFC. You cannot convince me about anybody's chin is better than Marvin Vettori's. The amount of damage this dude has taken and just withstood, it's insane. It's insane. He fights with his mouth open like this, with his mouth guard showing and everything, and this dude just eats shots daily. He eats shots. I'm not even daily. What am I saying? He's super inactive, but this guy eats shots like they're nothing. All right, overhand rights from Paulo Costa, kicks from Paulo Costa. Huge overhands from Cannonier like they're nothing. He eats them for breakfast. Israel Adesanya was piecing him up in that fight, and he ate every shot. So Marvin Vettori is an absolute tank, an absolute unit. I don't see this fight ending. I think it's going to go the distance. Roman Dolidze as well is a unit. He is a unit. He's coming off of 2 wins. Beat Anthony Smith in a fight at 205. I think he went up to 205, beat Anthony Smith. It was not a bad win. It was kind of boring. I think he could have knocked out Anthony Smith. Didn't really go for it though. And then coming off of that recent win, to Kevin Holland. Not a bad win, but it was an injury, and he was very excited after getting a knockout win over Kevin Holland, where he injured his ribs. So, I mean, Roman Dolidze, take what you can get, but that was kind of weird. But he's fighting Marvin Vettori for the second time now, and I think Roman Dolidze, he's getting up there in age. He's 36 years old. He's constantly aging. Marvin Vettori is still 32 years old. Still, he's not very active, but he's still an imposing threat. And just the fact that this is a 5-rounder has me leaning Marvin Vettori all day. This is Marvin Vettori's territory. 5 rounds is his territory. His cardio is great. He showed that in the Paulo Costa fight, even in the Cannonier fight. Against Paulo Costa, this dude was eating massive shots to the liver, massive shots to the gut, body shots all day, head shots from a powerful overweight Paulo Costa, weighing in 20 pounds over the limit, and he was eating those for breakfast. All right, so I just don't see a scenario where Roman Dolidze knocks out Marvin Vettori. I think Roman Dolidze will gas out. Marvin Vettori will just keep pushing the pace, keep pushing the pressure. And since fighting Whitaker, he's upped his kicking game. Marvin Vettori's kicking game is a lot better now. He's a lot more well-versed than he used to be, where Roman Dolidze is very one-dimensional. He's looking for that knockout blow, those overhand rights, those overhand lefts, the body shots. He's kind of just one-dimensional, and it's kind of expected for what he's going to do. And these guys have already fought. Marvin Vettori was able to beat him in the first fight decently convincingly. It was a close fight, but Vettori, just the volume that he was throwing was way more than Roman Dolidze, connecting a lot more shots. And in a 5-rounder where Roman Dolidze, we're going to see him slow down. Marvin Vettori is going to pick it up in the championship rounds, round 4, round 5, and I think we're gonna see him just continuously school Roman Dolidze. Roman Dolidze has never been knocked out or finished. Marvin Vettori's never been knocked out or finished. I think this is going to go the distance. We're going to go Marvin Vettori by unanimous decision. Honestly, I'm going to go 49-47 for Marvin Vettori. I think he's going to decently beat down on Roman Dolidze in the later rounds. But that is the entire card, boys. If you did enjoy the video, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, drop your comments down below what you guys think about this card, and I will catch you boys in the next one. See you.